What is up, guys? Stark here. In today's character spotlight, I'm taking a look at the servant in the gacha for the event of the demonic capital Rashomon, and that is going to be Shuten Douji. So Shuten Douji is going to be a 5-star assassin, and she is a pretty darn good servant overall, and she does go up to level 90, and at level 90 she will have 12,825 HP and 11,993 attack. So this will rank her 27th overall in HP and 9th overall in attack. Now, she does have some really good stats, but due to the assassin having a low damage multiplier, that she kind of doesn't have as good of a stats as it looks. If you do decide to max her out though, she will end up with 16,050 HP and 15,128 attack. So now moving on here to her servant skills, she's got a very good kit of skills that do a variety of different things, but they all kind of work together. And, you know, as you'll see later with her normal Phantasm, she does a lot of different effects. So she's useful in a lot of different situations, a lot of different ways. First up, though, her skill is going to be the Alcoholic Fruit A. Now, this is going to target all enemies, and it has a chance to inflict charm on them for 1 turn, and it will also decrease their defense for 3 turns. So this charm skill is very good because it doesn't only affect males or females, it affects both of them, and it can target servants. So this is like one of the better, if not the best, charm skills in the game, and it'll have a 60% chance to charm all the enemies for 1 turn, and then it will decrease their defense by 10% at level 1 and 20% at level 10. So overall, a very, very solid skill to start off with. It does have a little bit of a higher cooldown though, starting at 9 turns. So that's kind of a drawback, but you know, you do have a really good chance of getting that charm off. So it kind of offsets itself with a higher cooldown, sorry. And then for her second skill, it's the Demonkin Magic A. Now this will increase the attack of all allies for 3 turns, and it will also increase her own normal Phantasm strength for 3 turns. So this is a very, very solid skill, starting at 10% at level 1 for the attack increase, going up to 20% at level 10. And then for her noble Phantasm strength increase, it'll start at 20% and goes up to 30% at level 10. And then third and finally, her last skill is the Battle Continuation A+, which will apply Guts 1 time over the course of 5 turns. So now moving on to her class skills, she will have 2 of them. The first one being the Presence Concealment C, which will increase critical star drop rates by 6%, and then the second one is Divinity C, which will apply damage plus 150. So now let's talk about her Ascension. For the first Ascension, you're going to need 100,000 Quantum Pieces as well as 5 Assassin Pieces. For the second Ascension, you're going to need 300,000 Quantum Pieces, 12 Assassin Pieces, and 22 Evil Bones. For the third Ascension, you're going to need 1 million Quantum Pieces, 5 Assassin Monuments, 8 Serpent Jewels, and 5 Ghost Lanterns. And then for the final Ascension, you're going to need 3 million Quantum Pieces, 12 Assassin Monuments, 10 Ghost Lanterns, and 5 Heart of the Foreign God. And then for her skills, to level up a skill from 1 to 10, you will need 17 Gems of the Assassin, 17 Magic Gems of the Assassin, 17 Secret Gems of the Assassin, 12 Serpent Jewels, 44 Evil Bones, 15 Claws of Chaos, 10 Spirit Roots, 1 Crystallized Lore, and 54,400,000 Quantum Pieces. Next up here for her command cards and her noble Phantasm, she does have a very good deck with 2 Quick, 2 Arts, and 1 Buster. You primarily use her on crit teams or quick teams and arts teams, so she definitely has a really good deck for that. And then for her noble Phantasm, it is also going to be an arts, and this thing does a lot of different things, so just bear with me here as I run through them all. First up, it's going to deal heavy damage to all enemies, and then it will decrease debuff resistance, decrease defense, decrease attack, decrease noble Phantasm strength, decrease critical hit rate, and inflict skill seal. So it does a ton of different effects. And then for the overcharge, it will inflict poison for 5 turns. So this does a ridiculous amount of debuffs. However, the main drawback here is that they all are only a 10% decrease, so that really sucks. But you know, you have 5 different effects, and then you have the skill seal, which is not a percentage base, it's just a skill seal. But yeah, it does a whole bunch of different things. You can use it in pretty much any situation you want, and it's an AoE damaging noble Phantasm. She's currently the only 5-star assassin that does this, and she's one of 2 assassins that have AoE damaging specials in the game so far. Of course, I'm only talking about the global version. So, you know, she's definitely a really good option, especially right now, being an AoE Noble Phantasm servant for an assassin. So yeah, the only thing I really wish would have been different is maybe have 1 or 2 less debuffs and increase the amount of decrease for the other ones. Maybe in the future it will get like an interlude or a rank up or something that'll bump up the percentages, but for now that is what it is. It's still really good, you know, don't get me wrong, it's still a very good Noble Phantasm. Does a ton of different debuffs. It's just the fact that the debuffs are, you know, a really small percentage. So next up, some craft essences you can use on this character. First up is the level 10 Bond craft essence, which will be the Divine Demon Poison Sake. So while equipped, this will increase quick and arts card effectiveness of all allies by 10% on the field. So this is a very good choice because you want to use her primarily in arts or quick teams. So this is a good craft essence to boost, you know, those types of characters. However, you really don't want to mesh them together. You more want to focus on one or the other. And generally speaking, it's going to be on the art setup. She does work really good in crit teams as well, though, so don't discount that. Some other craft essences that you can use on this character, though, if you do want to just focus on increasing her damage, you could go with the projection or the limit 0 over for the arts card effectiveness increase. You could also go with another ending. This is a really good craft essence, probably one of the better options you can use. This will increase her arts card effectiveness by 10%, but it will also increase her critical hit strength by 20%. And this is really good because Douji can make a lot of stars very fast because she's an assassin, so she has a higher star rate, and she has a lot of hits, so she'll get a lot of stars, and she can make pretty good use of that. So having an increase in crit damage is, you know, always really nice. You could also go with a fragment of 20-30, which will give you the critical stars every single turn. So, you know, that's not a bad option if you're putting her on crit teams. And then you could also go with a Fox Knight Stream. This is the event craft essence that comes with her. And this will increase her Noble Phantasm gain by 20% and give you 3 critical stars every turn. So this is really nice because you want to use her Noble Phantasm as much as possible, and you're still getting a few stars back as well. So you can make use of her art setup and her crit setup at the same time with this craft essence. So if you have it, if you're pulling for, you know, Shuten Douji, you might end up getting this one. So if you do pull it, it's a pretty solid option to get and to use. So now moving on to the character in review. First up is going to be some servants you could use with this character. So first up is going to be Oda Nobunaga. So she is a pretty good servant to use here. She is a pretty solid crit damage dealer, with her 3rd skill increasing her strength and her gather rate. And then she's also a arts card, so like she has 2 arts in her deck. Unfortunately though, her Noble Phantasm is Buster, but overall you still have some pretty good arts cards in there, and you do have the crit damage, and you know, Shuten Douji is really good at getting stars, so you can definitely maximize the amount of crit damage you can do with her. Next up here is going to be Ryogi Shiki, who is another event servant. And she's really good as well for similar reasons as Nobunaga. She has a skill that will increase her critical strength, and that combos very well with the fact that Douji gets a lot of stars. And, you know, Shiki being an assassin as well, she has really high star rate as well. So she's gonna, you know, if you combo them together, they're both going to be generating a ton of stars. So you're not going to be lacking in crit damage. And her Noble Phantasm is also arts, and that is Douji's as well. So you're going to have a ton of arts cards in your deck if you use them together. So you're going to be able to do crit damage as well as do Noble Phantasm spam, which is a really good combination. Next up here is going to be Chevalier Dion. And I pretty much just threw him in here because of the charm. It's going to be like a charm team where you could just combo them in. And you could also use Mata Hari and have like a full team of just like charm users. That's pretty much the only reason why I put him on here. He does also have a Arts Noble Phantasm, so he can do the charm there as well as do more of the decrease for attack and defense to combo off of Douji's Noble Phantasm. And again, he has an arts deck, so you're going to be getting a lot of arts, a lot of Noble Phantasm spam. So overall, maybe not the best option, but if you do want to focus on the charm setup, it might be a pretty solid team to use. And then last but not least, we have Tamano no Mai. So obviously I don't really have to say too much about her. She is an exceptional character as a support unit, and she's an arts booster as well as having an really good arts stack with 4 total arts cards. I don't know, she's gonna be in here a lot. She's one of the best servants in the game. She heals, she decreases the cooldowns, increases normal Phantasm gauge, comboing that with Douji's arts deck as well, and you're just going to be spamming off your normal Phantasms as quickly as possible, which will help get Douji's skills reduced in cooldown, which means you can use them more. I feel like I say the same thing every time I have her in here, but she excels at what she does, and you know, she's gonna find her way on a lot of teams. So if you have these two characters, definitely put them together. You're gonna do some pretty cool things with them. So now for the actual star ranks. First up, for her stats, she's going to get a 4.7 out of 5. Again though, I said this before earlier in the video, that because she's an assassin, she has a lower damage multiplier. So her stats, while they look really high as stats, she's not actually going to be doing as much damage as you would think. So that is a little bit of a drawback, but she does have a skill that will boost your attack and kind of make up for that just a little bit. So speaking of her skills, I am going to give her 3.5 out of 5 here for her skills. They are very good skills. She does a lot of cool different things with them, you know, including the attack boost that I was just talking about. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5, I think that's pretty fair. Some of them have pretty high cooldowns, so lose a few points there, but overall, very solid set of skills. And then for her normal Phantasm, she's also getting 3.5 out of 5. I would give this a much higher rating if not for the fact that all of the debuffs are 10%, and they don't go up no matter how high you level it. So that's a bit of a, you know, unfortunate drawback there, but at the same time, you're still doing 5 debuffs, 5 really good debuffs, and you can't look past that. Even if it is just a 10%, it's still 10% of different effects, and you still do skill seal as well for 1 turn. Also, again, you know, Douji has the only 5-star assassin AoE damaging Noble Phantasm in the game right now for global, and she's one of 2 assassins overall in global that have damaging AoE Noble Phantasm skills. And then for survivability, I'm giving her 3 stars. Outside of her gut skills, she has nothing. But, you know, she is a 5-star with really high HP, and the guts is nice, even though it only lasts for 5 turns. It is nice, it is there. And then for her versatility, she's getting 4 stars in this. Her normal Phantasm, while it only does that 10% decrease, it is 5 debuffs. You're going to be able to make use of that in pretty much any team you throw her on. And, you know, she has a really good support set for her skill kit with the charm and the attack increase. Overall, she can just find her way into a lot of teams, and she does have an arts deck as well, which will help combo with Noble Phantasm spam. So she goes really well on arts decks, and she can also produce a lot of stars, which helps on crit teams and quick teams, so she can find her way into that. So overall, she gets a 3.7 out of 5. She is a very good servant overall, very good support. She has a nice kit of skills. Overall, just a very solid, above solid servant, and she's definitely in the higher tiers for servants. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap up this character spotlight. I will leave you guys here with her Noble Phantasm. Don't forget, in the description below, links to all my stuff. Twitter, Twitch, Discord, Patreon, all that fun stuff. So feel free to check those out, guys, and I will see you guys next time.
死に果ったらよろしおす。戦士万法進展する。